aesthetics, right? The myth,
Yep.
the legend. I'm kidding, guys. He did pass away. Sadly, he was fan favorite by everyone. I mean, you probably knew him. Everybody did. I'm gonna share my screen really fast. He was previously known. I mean, he was an influencer, right? In case you don't know who he was a gym influencer known for his insane aesthetics and more than anything, his rippling muscle disease. Now that was essentially, I think I'm not really sure, but I think it's like a gene mutation that leads to this. I'm not really sure how he does it. Do you know how he does this? How does this work? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, yeah. That he puts tension in his muscles, and then he does this. Like he opens
His arms?
his his arms to like stretch his muscles, and then automatically his chest muscles do this. It's not like voluntary.
That's
Automatically,
crazy.
it's just like a voluntary automatic movement. It's
Never
pretty
seen
wild.
that in my life, but that's really cool. I mean, he was also really famous for like pretty much just in general being like a fitness influencer. He was known for his positivity. Everybody loved him, and of course, I mean, he was extremely young, right? And that kind of brings attention to the elephant in the room. Like, why did he die? You know, like why so young? I mean, you're really young. You don't have a reason to die that young. So I mean, we kind of brought this curiosity to the table, right? And it turns out that it was because of an aneurysm. So in case you don't know what an aneurysm is, it's essentially just like an aneurysm is essentially just a rupture in a vein. So we have veins all over our body, and especially an artery, which is essentially like the largest veins in your body, pop or they're under pressure and they're kind of like weak, it will lead to this death in a very short period of time. And here are some of the symptoms. Interestingly, his to make to improve this hypothesis, to prove it right, his girlfriend also supports this idea, right? And she also interestingly said that like him, his aunt 4 years ago also passed away. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that kind of goes stuck to the fact that maybe it's genital, right? Like it could be from like a birth, right? This could be like an issue from his family, which is again, what do you think about that? I mean, it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah. So aneurysms sometimes are genetic. Like I think even there's like a significant percentage of aneurysms that you know few members in the family
Mm-hmm.
uh, have issues with it, and it's like a significant percentage that it's genetic.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe his aunt dying from it, right?
Yeah.
His aunt died from it. Maybe that leads logically for us to assume that his aneurysm was genetic.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
first of all, he's 30 years old. Even if it is genetic, there's something there.
Yeah.
I don't think
Definitely.
just like genetics and that's it. So first of all, we should talk about his. Well, first of all, we don't know if it's the aneurysm was like cerebral or aortic, like
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
heart.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, his heavy caffeine use.
Oh
He
yeah, I
drank,
remember that. That was crazy, right? How much
yeah,
did he drink a day? Because it's
4 liters
clear, four
every day.
liters. Wow. And there was
Yeah,
this
it's
this.
wild.
That's crazy. It's almost as much as I drink.
And and
And yeah, that's
so his
insane.
heavy steroid, his history of heavy steroid use.
Yeah,
He said
he's.
he was
Mhm.
on TRT,
He
but
wasn't on TRT, you're right. He was. He began taking a lot more care of his health over the last couple of years. He became more
yeah,
self
yeah, that's true.
conscious.
That's true. But still, yeah, there was some alarming things like the caffeine use, the steroid use, the
I
history
didn't
of
know
it,
this.
and
That's
he was on
crazy.
CRT, and the RMD, the Ripley muscle disease,
Yeah.
and a very important factor, the COVID vaccines,
Yeah,
which
and I was gonna touch on that, but before we talk about that, I just wanted to point out how crazy this is. The drinking coffee thing, 10% increase by those who drink a lot of coffee. Basically, if you have an unruptured aneurysm, it can rupture it. And again, the thing that you said about the family thing, I think that's insane because recently in Japan there was also this study that kind of points out to how like somatic or germinal mutations, right, the ones that you have from the time you're born, may lead to these mutations, right? So again, like you said before, this also almost forgot to talk about this. The rippling muscle disease may lead to this mutation in the CAP3 gene, like you said, that essentially leads to this rippling muscle disease that looks really cool. Well, it's actually not only about looking cool, because if we look here, this calf mutation actually led German families with autosomal dominant rippling disease to a sudden death in few individuals. How? Because of this problem called cardiac. What was the word? Cardiac. Um, I forgot the word right now. It's cardiac arrhythmia. Arrhythmia.
Yeah, yeah,
Arrhythmia, and that just means that your heart palpitates in the wrong order, and essentially that leads to irregular blood pressure and the rupture of the aneurysm. But yeah, that's crazy, right? Pretty crazy.
yeah, yeah.
He was German.
So
He was German. So who knows?
yeah, oh yeah, he was German.
He was
Fuck,
German.
I didn't
Yep.
realize that.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I heard that. Oh, the CAF3 gene mutation was like more commonly noticed in Germans.
Yeah, yeah,
Did you hear that?
definitely. Hmm.
Yeah, so that's fucking weird.
It's kind of
Okay.
creepy, right? Well,
Uh,
anyways, the thing you said about the COVID, that was interesting as well. Talk more about that, please.
yeah, man. If I were German, I would be like, we need to do something about this disease. But anyways, we're talking about
Jarman. The Jarman.
what was I? What did I say before
Oh
the?
yeah, you spoke about the COVID vaccine, like how that might
So
be a big thing as well, right?
yeah, that was a big one, and people in the internet are like all over that shit.
No, yeah, definitely.
Basically, basically, he went on the I forgot his name. Like the last podcast he went to. If you guys Google it online. It's just search up Jo Linder podcast. Um, I think it's Bradley Martin. That's the name of the guy.
Oh, Bradley Martin. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he talks about a lot of things in that podcast, but specifically, he says he found heavy metals in his blood because of 4 COVID vaccine shots, and he was peer pressured into it. That's what he said. So that caught my attention,
That's
and
crazy.
you know, so basically, he took the shots, and then since he's a guy that regularly does blood work, he did the blood work, and then his doctor told him, Joe, you have to do a plasmapheresis immediately. And
Okay.
if you don't know what a plasmapheresis is, it's a complicated procedure. But you take your blood off your body, and as he says it, you take it off and then you clean it. I don't know how. You clean the heavy metals from your blood, and then you put it back in your body. I don't know if that's 100%
No,
correct.
no, yeah, you're right. You're
Probably.
right. The centrifuge thing that basically with physics they kind of like spin around and they separate the heavy metals from the blood. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm fucking this up like a
No,
little
no,
bit,
no.
but
You're being right. You're right. You're correct.
yeah. Okay, so and then essentially his blood got clean. So there, that's what he says. So thankfully, that matter wasn't really much of Joe's concern.
No, yeah,
But
definitely.
the theory is, and I sent you a PDF
Oh
about
yeah,
this. You
that
probably
PDF. Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, that one's
is that
crazy, right?
is that like the vaccine causes inflammation like in a certain degree on theory
Hmm.
according to this PDF, and it increases vasoconstriction. So the theory is that if the vaccine he took increased vasoconstriction, so this is the vase, and then it kind of constricted because of that vaccine, and then this is the blood, and the blood got thicker because of his steroid use, his testosterone use. It causes like thick blood, and then you know You
Whoa,
get the
whoa,
point.
whoa, what are you showing me there, man?
You get the point.
Yeah, I never had that talk before. But
And
anyways, yeah,
basically, yeah, that's the
yeah, yeah.
whole.
Okay, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
And
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, so thick blood vasoconstriction, no good.
Okay, so I read that article that you're speaking about, and I got a very similar view on what you're saying. Like, I think that what they're saying here, right, this theory, I don't know if it's posted. Is it posted? Is this posted? Is this an actual article or not really? It's just a theory.
Well, it's an article for sure. It's just not a human trial.
But it's not peer reviewed. That's what I mean. Like, it's not peer reviewed.
No,
Okay.
it's not. But
Well,
the thing,
regardless, what it says here is that essentially when the mRNA goes into the cell and it produces this SARS-CoV proteins, which are essentially the whole point of this vaccine to produce this immune response, the production of these antibodies that are produced in response to this COVID proteins will actually reduce the amount of ACE2 protein, which is essential because essentially what happens is it binds into these proteins, right? And it kind of they're really important for three different processes that actually are essentially an immune complex: the FC receptors and the complement. And when this happens, this lack of this proteins essentially leads down to this inflammation that you talked about, and then yeah, I mean, kind of down to bigger issues, right? So I mean, I don't know how much of an issue this is, how much of an impact this actually has on everything that happened, but definitely calls my attention a lot. Yep.
yeah, the weird thing is just he's young and he does blood work regularly, and he takes this vaccine in a short period of time, he dies, and this is like after at least a 10-year history with steroids. Actually, I think even more. And then suddenly, uh,
Hmm.
you can't tell if it's a coincidence or not that he died on this in this
Yeah.
period of time where he took 4 shots of the vaccine. So, but it's you got to say it is kind of something to consider. I'm not saying, obviously, I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I
that.
completely agree with you. I mean, I think it was also pretty rushed by the FDA, this vaccine. Like, for sure, they could have done more trials and whatnot. And I understand it was an epidemic, right? A pandemic, not even an epidemic. And I mean, decisions were taken. I can't blame them. But yeah, I mean, poor Joe. I mean, rest in peace, Joe. I hope the best for their family members or friends. I never met him, but I'm sure he was an amazing person. He seemed like he cared a lot about others. That's what everybody says. His girlfriend was broken. Everybody was broken around them, devastated. But yeah, I mean, this kind of just goes to talk about the fact that nobody's immortal. Even if you're young, you have to take care for your body. I mean, we can't really know if it was a vaccine, if it was the coffee. We don't know if it was just, CAV3 gene predisposition. But the thing is, for a fact, you have to take care of your body. And just remember, every day is counted and take care of it. That's all. Enjoy your days.
Yeah, and these are just hypotheses. It might have been neither of the discussed ones,
Yeah, yeah,
although
definitely.
it probably is.
Yeah.
But it might have been a combination of all
Yeah.
the four factors we mentioned.
He could have just gotten
Um,
more pussy than all of us, and maybe that's part of it.
yeah,
But
that's
hypothesis,
that.
man. That's all.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's a good theory.
that's a good one,
But
right?
yeah, essentially, uh,
Whoa.
it's not certain. We're just fucking bro science in here.